Welcome to wherever you may be watching or indeed listening. This is Melbourne Real coming live and direct and unedited from Melbourne, Australia, the world's most livable city. I'm one of your hosts, Tony Jack the Bear Mantz. I'm a master engineer, I'm a motivational speaker and a few other things. And along with my special co-host, the recent birthday boy. Happy birthday for last week, my friend.
Thanks. No, I didn't know.
Very intelligent, very attractive, knower of all things, singer and songwriter down the maps, Martin Green.
Thank you.
Good to have you, mate.
Welcome to Melbourne Real. And today's guest is who I like to call sometimes MG1 and sometimes MG2, depending on who was first in line. Mr. Myles Green, a very good friend of mine and a follower down a similar path of the old quitting working for the man and starting something of your own, which I highly, highly applaud. Welcome, Mr. Myles Green.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
G'day, mate.
G'day.
So let's get straight into it. That's what happened. We were talking not too long ago. I think I had quit my job at the time. And we were out and about, so we catch up quite often. And we were talking about, I guess, the benefits to starting something. I think I was just post-revenue. I only learnt the term pre-revenue the other day. No, our business is pre-revenue. Oh, you mean it's not making any money? Hasn't made any money for fucking 2 years. We were just post-revenue, and I was starting to sort of, come back with some positive results. Like, actually, yeah, no, dude, I think we're okay. You know what I mean? And I think we started going down that sort of conversational path of, you know what, man, I think I'm going to get the fuck out of corporate.
Yeah, definitely.
What happened?
Well, I graduated from uni, studied commerce at uni, and spent the last 10 years kind of hating my existence, I guess you could say. And I knew that sort of 2 weeks into my first job, and along the way I'd sort of tweaked things. You know what I mean? I sort of went to government, went back to private. And just sort of, it never really ever felt right. And so kind of I was always looking for something. And then probably about a year ago, I'd sort of spent a lot of time putting together a really full-on sort of criteria for what I thought would make me happy in life. And then one morning I was basically just I'd entered one of the worst jobs I've basically ever had in my entire life. And I was kind of sitting at breakfast, eating my Wheaties, and sort of said to my partner, Ruth, why can't I be a hypnotherapist? Having had kind of a lot of success from it myself in the past, and the rest is history, basically. Yeah.
So you chose to start studying hypnotherapy.
Yes, that's right. So I'm really enjoying that, and my experience so far has been very positive. Yeah.
So for the benefit of, people have heard about hypnotherapy, but how would you best describe what hypnotherapy is and the types of situations where that modality could be beneficial to people?
Sure. So I guess it depends on people's mindset, and everyone's different. It's very different for all the different individuals. It's sort of one of those things where it's a very naturally occurring kind of hypnosis itself, hypnosis being a subset of hypnotherapy, is a very naturally occurring kind of phenomenon, a state. We all each individually go in and out of hypnosis every single day. So anytime that you're, anytime that you watch a great movie and you feel like time has passed you by very quickly, you've actually been in a light trance. And so, the way that it works for me is that basically, I run sort of pretty, I guess you could say 1 hour sessions, and it's very much focused on sort of good counselling principles. So the first half is very much focused on understanding what the goals of the client are. And then the second half of the session is that the client gets to sort of sit in a very comfortable chair and be induced into a very natural and deep and relaxing state. And I pretty much sort of take their words and actually sort of play it back to them, I guess you could say. So it's a matter of sort of switching off the conscious mind, which is the mind that's basically sort of, that we gain from the age of 7. So it's sort of the subconscious mind, which we hear so much about, or sometimes depending on where you're at, it controls so much of what we do in our daily life, basically, and it's what basically drives our, I guess you could see it as your sort of reptilian brain. It is, and so it's very much around kind of what the reality is for the client. So I work with their reality, basically, regardless of what you think of as sort of, of their reality. It is their reality. And so the things that sort of work best is that they come with a very positive attitude around sort of, the therapy itself. And they come for the right reasons, as in, they haven't got a partner that's sort of forcing them to come or something like that. Yeah, I mean, there's an absolute ton of variables involved with it. It's actually quite straightforward.
Tell me, you mentioned that it depends on, it's an individual. There's an individual case. It depends on the attitude that they come with, and they didn't come under any duress, and they come willingly with an open mind to it. Just as a devil's advocate question, because I've been hypnotized before, and I can vouch for its effectiveness. How much at that point, though, do you think might be placebo?
Oh, look, I guess it depends.
Or is that a measurable, unmeasurable?
Or is that all it is?
And chances are that's all it is. Most of the time, really. I know that sounds like a crazy answer, but
no, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think for any kind of therapy, basically, I think there's a major sort of placebo element to it.
Well, the mind is so powerful. I mean, you hear about dudes that get misdiagnosed that they've got cancer and they've got 3 days to live or some stupid shit, and these motherfuckers die. You know what I mean? 3 days is a little bit excessive, but like they've been given the wrong results. It's been switched and stuff, and they will themselves to die. They will themselves to live. That people will themselves to do all sorts of crazy things.
Correct. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's right.
Tell me something, at that level, you know how sometimes there are some entertainment hypnotists that do these shows and they invite people up and they say, well, I want you to wriggle and writhe on the ground like Madonna.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board, all that shit.
And do, act like a chicken who thinks he's a duck, which maybe you can get me to do. We'll see how. I do that all the time. But at those sort of shows where it gets pretty kind of outrageous, right?
They do.
I have a little bit of skepticism about some part of me says there is either some kind of scripted element to it, but can it really be that dramatic? Or is that it requires someone to be absolutely willing to allow themselves, to be
completely mesmerized, effectively.
Yeah, mesmerism. Look, I think there's an element of social compliance with it. I think that people want to. Those people that get up on stage and cluck like chickens, they're up there because they want to be. And so the hypnotherapists or the hypnotists in that situation that actually are facilitating that situation, the genuine, and that's the thing, for every kind of genuine case, there's a phony. So we have to be very careful in terms of sort of making any generalizations at all, because, it is one of those sort of areas where there is enormous amounts of skepticism flying around. But I mean, I can't get anyone to do anything they don't want to do. It's as simple as that. So if you provide a suggestion that to a client that basically conflicts with a core value or core belief, then they'll actually come straight out of trance. And I've seen it time and time and time again. And so I guess, for those hypnotists that work on the stage that are actually, the real cases, the genuine ones, they're actually extraordinarily talented because they're able to pick people out of the audience that are highly susceptible, highly suggestible, and they're able to get results very quickly. So the whole kind of clucking like a chicken thing is very much kind of a, it's a combination, I guess, of the fact that they want to cluck like a chicken, but I guess at the same time it's one of those things where
that was me. I just farted.
It's one of those things where and I'm drawing blanks here. I'm sorry, but it's one of those things where it's a stereotype that really needs to be smashed, because it really is. It's not doing any favors for the profession, basically.
Yeah, sure. So what's involved in the training? So you decided you want to be a hypnotherapist, and you embarked on that.
Yep.
So what did that entail for you to get to that point of being qualified or to be qualified?
Yeah. So I'm studying with an academy based in Sydney. So I study by distance, and in combination with sort of going up there quite regularly and being assessed and so forth, and basically, working through sort of my clinical stage at the moment, what's involved is basically that I've completed subjects in psychology, anatomy, counselling, hypnoanalytics, and it's very much a combination of kind of it's very kind of academic, the course, I guess you could say, and practical at the same time, that is really off-putting, that noise.
Well, let's see if we can get the attention of our support engineer for a second there. Sea-Dog, would you be able to just let her in and just let her do her fucking thing, because
Our Betty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Betty, a studio dog.
Yes.
Can't keep it down.
No.
Yeah.
You made an interesting, before we came on here, you made an interesting comment which really resonated with me, because I said to you, this is my story and I'm sure a lot of people's, but just fascinated to hear you tell me about how, before you came on, before you got to this stage where you're saying, okay, I'm going to go down this path and do something I choose to do, you were doing something your mum wanted. You were caught, which I find fascinating. I think a lot of people. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I'd sort of been led to believe that, my calling was in the commercial world. And, I guess I fell through that course, not really kind of feeling a strong affinity with any of it. I kind of, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed what I studied, but it was pretty clear when I got into my first job that it was really not for me. I'd sort of been led to believe or convinced that, all sort of therapists, whether it be psychologists or counsellors, were bad. And so I'd actually sort of avoided them for a long time. I kind of, when you do the thing that sort of, makes you, when you sort of do the thing that makes you feel alive, like, and gives you a purpose, you really know that you're onto something.
It makes a massive difference, doesn't it?
It does.
When you're living, people say living in your truth or being more in alignment with your truth and your values, just doing what you do out of love, primarily,
right,
because you absolutely love doing it, and that's what you want to do every day.
I feel the same thing. I went to university because I was told to go to university. It was, my parents didn't go to university, and they just drummed it in earlier, like, this is the level we've reached. This is where we've got to. This is how much money we can earn based on our skill sets and our education. And we want more for you than we had for ourselves. So the logical step is, from age 3, as long as you can understand what a university is, you're going to university. You must go to university. And I was exactly the same. Within a month of being at university, I knew that I'm not going to use any of this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go be a fucking rock star, or just, I want to play music. I want to do something else.
Yeah. And that sort of shit's not taught at schools about
it's not.
creativity and education, because you can't measure it.
Well, wisdom's not taught at school.
No,
The only thing
you
that's
can't
taught
measure
at
it.
school is memory and knowledge retention.
Yes,
That's the thing.
because you're all taught about everything works in straight lines, but in nature things don't work in
No, not at all.
straight lines, not linear at all.
Yeah.
But that's that left brain part of us that's been told, this dum 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 dum, and everything that success and achievement is to be on the tangible and the measurable. How do you measure joy? How do you measure happiness? How do you measure job satisfaction? How do you measure just all that kind of shit?
Think about what it does for people's lives, and think about how many people kill themselves and end their lives because of the way that they've been steered through. Because once you get out of your education, what's the first thing you've got to do? You've got to try and find yourself a job. Then you also got to find yourself a partner. You've also somehow along the way, because of your parents' upbringing, you've probably got to get married. You've probably got to have children. You've probably got to get a mortgage. You've probably got to get an investment property. You've probably got to do all these things. And how many people do you know have followed that exact paradigm every single time? There are very few exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm an exception, absolutely. And we lose friends over these sorts of things.
We do.
Really?
You do, because
how?
Well, because
how? Well, I'm not doubting you. I'm just shocked.
This is how. You have a partner. That partner doesn't want to have children, for example. I don't want to have children. My partner doesn't want to have children. It is not a, you'll change your mind. No. We don't want to have children. But every single one of her friends are having children. 2 children. and they're all catching up together, and that's fine. But there's one instant. We know all the friends. They're all having children, right? So there's only a few of us left who haven't decided to have children. So there's one just simple, straight out of the box, right?
Yeah, right.
The amount of people that say, "Why don't you want to get married?" And little, it's just like little niggling sort of, you'll change your mind. You say that now, but when I did the same thing. And the more it goes, the more it just keeps coming up. Before sooner or later, one of you just goes, "Can you fuck off?
Yeah.
Can you fucking fuck off about fucking marriage, man?"
Yeah.
What's ever happened to just allowing it to be?
Absolutely.
I was just telling before, one of the, I'm 52 and I'm still fucking learning. And last week I learned a beautiful lesson, a beautiful, profound fucking lesson. And that is that you cannot make the outside world fit into what you think it should be.
Absolutely. I learned the same thing last week pretty much as well.
Yeah?
Do you want to go first? Or I can tell a story
well,
easily. I've got one right
look, there's just many. It was just the way it was explained, how the outside world's a mirror and it's what's in here. It's like a dog barking at a mirror and keep barking at the mirror thinking the dog's barking back at it.
I think it's a great analogy. Yeah.
Yep. I got many stories, but tell us about last week. What happened, man?
Very similar thing. A slight twist on that, but it's basically just because I think I can help somebody doesn't mean they want my fucking help. And the classic one last week, and this one's going in the book. Definitely going in the book. It's already written. I've done it. It's ready to go. It's chapter fucking 6. And down the road from me, there's a guy. He's an old dude, and I've seen him 4 times lugging a fucking suitcase down the road. Big, heavy suitcase. It's big enough to fit 2 or 3 dead babies easily, right? And it's got one missing wheel, and the other wheel is like a hexagon. It's flat spotted to shit. And the bottom of the suitcase is pretty much missing because it's been racked along Gilbert Road many, many, many times. And this guy's, he'd probably be in his 60s, I'd say. Slender guy, but he's leaning pretty hard because this thing's fucking heavy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm off to go and pick up a mixer, and pick you up a bit later on. And so I'm driving into the city, and I see this guy by the bin smoking a cigarette, right? I pull the car over, sprint across the road. Holy shit, it's you. I've been waiting for you. I've got a fucking Corjo luggage trolley in my house ready to go. He's like, what are you talking, what are you talking about? I don't. And I'm like, it's wheels, man. He's like, no, I don't think I'll be, no, I don't think so. I'm like, no. Trust me, you're going to dig this. Just shut the fuck up. Just promise me you'll be there and you'll still be here in 3 minutes' time. Yeah. So I jump in the car, bolt back to my house. It's only 600 meters away. Drive back, grab the Corjo trolley, and I'm fucking extending it as I'm running across the road. I'm excited. I'm saving the fucking world today, man. Yeah. And it's got the elastic thing. It's got the comfort handle grip, the big fucking wheels, and it folds down to nothing. You could fit it in a pocket of the, and it's specifically designed for large suitcases that don't have wheels. And so as I come over, he's already lifting it up, like, oh, this is sweet. I slap it underneath there, wrap the fucking, the bungee cord around there, push down his piece of shit handle, bend it over and pivot along the wheels. I'm like, there you go. And he's like, what's your name? And, and I go to shake his hand, and of course he can't shake my hand with his right hand because he's got a cigarette in it. So we have to, couldn't possibly change anyway.
Reverse.
I don't mean to judge, but anyway, so I shake his hand, and he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, it's Martin. And he said, well, how long did it take you to make that? And I'm like, I didn't fucking make it, dude. I bought it. I bought it from the airport. Or I don't know where I bought it. I certainly didn't buy it from the airport. I found it. Anyway, well, thank you. I'm like, all right, man. I just, and I fucking patted him on the shoulder and said, have a nice life. I hope it helps. See you later. Jumped to my car, went and got the mixer, right? Get the mixer, fuck around, do some things, have some coffees, have some lunch, pick up Myles, get your grinder, go back to my place, whatever. We're cruising down past, this is literally a metal grinder, by the way. Literally a metal grinder. We were sharpening chisels. And so we're driving back towards my place at about 2:30 in the afternoon. And we come up to the spot where he was in the bin there or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I saved the world this morning. Cartoon Blue Jays appeared, and fucking choral music and Tinkerbell and fairy dust. I fucking saved the world. I was the change I wish to see on this one. Can you see I've already written this? Can you see it's almost like a bit? And this is a fucking true story. Anyway, there's the trolley by the bin.
Yep.
He had waited till I'd gone. He had undone the trolley from the thingy and continued lugging his long, heavy, hard suitcase full of babies down the street.
Because ultimately, no one gives a fuck.
No one gives a fuck. He just wants to do what he wants to do.
No one
right.
gives a fuck.
Yeah.
He didn't want
He-
help.
He didn't want,
I
he
guess.
didn't want my help.
Yeah.
My view of the world was that everybody needs my help, and they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah.
So yeah.
But no, I completely agree with what you're saying before about, you know, the unreal expectations that are placed on children by their parents.
Absolutely, and society, and
Correct.
society in general.
Exactly.
It's I don't think I go and do a lot of talks to kids at uni, and it's a very common story. In one had an instance of this gentleman who, a Sri Lankan guy, he's professional, he's ticked all the boxes according to his parents' wishes. This guy composes incredibly beautiful orchestral pieces, and that you could hear in a movie easy. Okay, he's like, I'm no expert in orchestral music, but if I hear something, I know when it's good, and this is fucking great.
Yeah.
So, and he was telling me, 29 years of age, this dude, and lamenting about how he wanted to do this, but he didn't quite know how to break it to his parents. I'm going, dude, you've done everything that a good Sri Lankan boy can do. You went to university, you found a nice girl, you got a degree. So that knowledge that you have, my friend, will never leave you. I mean, now you've paid your debt, your so-called debt or obligation to your parents.
Absolutely.
More than, in fact, you never owed anything in the first place. But for the sake of the argument, let's just assume that, you've done your bit, you've paid your dues. Now it's time for you to go out and do your thing. You can always go back to that later. And it was incredible to watch this guy, 29 years of age, in this grip of fear of disappointing his parents.
And
What
it,
did,
it can be paralyzing.
Absolutely.
That fear.
What did Khalil Gibran say? Your children are not your children. They're but arrows to cast forth upon the world, or something like that. Beautiful.
He was awesome, Khalil Gibran.
He all right. He knows what time it is.
For a Lebanese dude, he was all right.
Yeah, he was pretty profitable as well.
Indeed. Yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. And same thing. I wrote it. It plagued me all my life. The whole thing, looking for my dad's validation and approval, all my life, right, well into my 40s, and that's and that's something a lot of people experience, unfortunately. But I think people need to understand that everyone's life's their and kids. Just tell them, just do what you fucking want.
That's right.
Be happy. That's your birthright. Your birthright is to be happy.
Just don't do crack. Don't do drugs.
Well, that's right. And that's got to be the mantra. You do what makes you happy. Like within the realms of kind of legalities, you don't want to be
of course,
kind of like
absolutely.
smashing the law.
You do also
forth,
have to survive, though. So the only part of that whole you must go to university thing that I agreed with my parents was that I was looking to get into a very fickle industry. I've got just as much chance of becoming a pro superstar musician that can actually earn money off it as I am a fucking baller. Because it's only the percent of the percent of the percent that actually does make any fucking money out of it.
Yeah,
the rest of the time it's just paying you, paying your mastering engineer, and paying your studio, and then trying to recoup those costs and paying your travel, your traveling and your whatever costs. So
and not just that, but there's also the added cost of which is your time.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Think about how many fucking hours you put in that video, dude. That last video.
Oh yeah, which is we'll plug that at the end.
Yeah. We should write your video that you worked on. I mean, how many fucking hours involved? Now, I remember. I think I asked you. I said, "Hey, dude, just as a rough guess," I said, "If you were to take this to a video production house and say, listen, can you just recreate this for me?" I said, "What would be just a rough conservative? What do you reckon?" And he said, at least $10,000-$12,000. So that's got to come back as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
And not just that, but above and beyond that, because then it does become profitable.
No, of course, some of that can be written off towards, it's basically a meditation of creation, and it's beneficial to one's soul to do beautiful things. But you're right. If I was charging myself at that time, that'd be the end of it. That'd be a break. That'd break the budget. That'd be a showstopper. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. No, you're right. But I think the thing is, it's not about money. Money is that, as I'm learning recently, money. What is it? It's a byproduct of you giving value.
Correct.
But my point earlier was that I did agree with that you do need something to fall back on. That was my point. Is that yes, I was heading towards an industry that was very fickle and da. So going to university, I did look at it logically and go, all right, well, if I learn Japanese, at least I can teach English in Japan. At least I've always wanted to go to Japan. That'd be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is something that if I do one day go, you know what, this isn't working.
Kind of hedging your bets and
That's right. It's an insurance policy, right? Yeah. Of course, I never went to use any of that degree, and it ended up costing me a lot more than it should have.
Yeah.
But I fell into sales as soon as I got out of uni, basically, and that was that. I'm like, oh, this is way easier to make money, and I can do it wherever I want in the world. It's easy, Yeah. So it's pros and cons to going to uni. Don't get me wrong.
And I love that word fall, because we basically do just fall through life. Like when we're kind of, and not everyone, not to say that everyone does, there are those lucky few that kind of are able to sort of, break free, really early on. And we all, I'd like to think that we all break free sooner or later. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the optimist inside of me. But it's that kind of, we really do just continuously just sort of fall through life.
It's one way to look at it.
To try and live up to people's expectations, society's expectations.
Until we stumble across certain books that sort of remind us again that, when you were a kid, you always used these words. When I grow up, I'm going to do this. I will do this. This will happen. These are going to happen. I'm going to be a fucking train driver. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, right? And then as you grow older, that I will becomes, that's life. No, that's how it happened. Well, I guess that's just what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's what happened.
It's like that video you posted a little while ago, which I shared and I consequently reshared, of that comic. A beautiful video you put up, man, that talked about this stuff. He talked about how, this doesn't matter whether you're an atheist or a Buddhist or whatever. It just appeals to everyone. This is about, reminding yourself that you're a child and you're, creating. Do you remember that video?
I actually don't, but keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Anyway,
Facebook videos.
It's a comic which I can't remember his name now, but the video was just beautiful.
Oh, so it's a stand-up comic.
Yeah, it's a stand-up comic.
Oh, right. Yep. Okay.
It's a stand-up comic that I think. Anyway, I'll send it to you.
Oh, Kyle Cease.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kyle Cease.
There you go.
Hasn't he done a transformation from that weirder, blacker, whatever it's that dimpler little, hey, all over the place, to like. He's gone off and he's gone, you know what? I'm going to move aside, head more down that kind of Rogan path and go, I'm going to look after people. I'm going to help people.
But that's
Brilliant.
awesome, man. But again, he's a guy that speaks from his heart and from life experience.
No doubt about it.
And I think that's what it is. I think people need to hear from as many people as possible about their real world experiences and stuff. There's enough negativity, enough programmers say how you can't, but there's a lot of people like yourself who are doing it, and you're young, and you're showing that it's absolutely possible. It doesn't always have to be something that comes later in life, or that you have to kind of grind and fucking go through hell most of your adult life before you get to that point. So fucking kudos to you, man. I reckon it's awesome.
Thank you.
Also, it's it also raises or reinforces that point. How in high school you've got counsellors, and that's their job, is to steer you towards university, right? You sit with these guys and they go, all right, what is it? What do you want to be? You want to be an accountant? You want to be a secretary? You want to be what do you want to be?
Yeah.
And that's what they did to me. That's what they did to everybody.
And we base those things on such narrow things. Like my old man, for example, was an accountant. So I knew, I went and studied commerce at uni, and, I basically failed accounting the first year subject because I was kind of determined. I was determined to sort of basically, I guess you could say, live out the fact that there was no bloody way I was going to be like my old man.
And you know what? You could almost consider yourselves lucky that you guys even were offered a choice.
Yeah.
There, in some cultures,
Yeah.
you don't even get the choice.
No, that's right.
You're told this is what you're going to be.
Just do what Dad does.
And it's all well-intentioned. Look, it's all coming from a place of love. There's no doubt about
absolutely,
it.
sure.
It's just misguided.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just
right.
misguided.
That's right. I'm a cobbler, so you're a cobbler.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cobble that shit.
Yeah. Family tradition, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
On the odd occasion, someone, when they find they have children, they find out their ages, they say, "Why don't they want to fucking work in here?" I was like, well, it's always been there if they wanted to, but they've never. That's not what they want to do. I don't feel I have any desire to say, well, my legacy needs to live on through my DNA and my children doing this kind of. That's all. Look, if that happens, if that was to happen to anyone, that's a lovely thing. If it's a natural and organic kind of process, but you can't force that shit on.
You can't, and also. The point I was going to make was that you can't expect a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid to know what they want to do in their
fucking way.
life. No way.
Forget it.
You get people that, there was that great, all those stats of all those dudes. I can't remember a single one of them, but they were like, this dude was a fucking vacuum cleaner salesman until he was 38. Even Tom Jones was door-to-door salesman.
really?
fucking
Yeah.
ever. He was for ages, before he finally hit it.
Yeah.
So here's fucking 25 people who didn't even know they wanted to do what they wanted to do until they were like 40.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I guess I was lucky in the respect that I knew what I wanted when I was young. I kind of worked. It was something in music. The mastering was something I fell into, but it was still music industry, behind the scenes related kind of stuff. So, but even then, it's still the struggle to get through it and to get there. So so when will you be practicing your hypnotherapy?
Yeah,
my friend?
so I will be fully qualified in November. So as part of that, and I'll continue to study for the next 2 years, basically.
Is that just post grad study type? Or
No,
is it like a master's, or is that just to get deeper into the?
Yeah, so that's keep heading down the path. So I'm wanting to sort of I will end up with a certificate 4 in hypnotherapy by November, and I'm aiming to sort of work through into an advanced diploma level.
Great.
And so hopefully do that sort of in conjunction with a graduate diploma of psychology as well through Monash Uni. And I guess see where it takes me. I mean, it's sort of very early days at the moment. But I'm loving it. I wake up feeling like I've got a purpose each morning.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. And I really enjoy the interactions that I have with clients along the way as well.
Yeah.
And it's a very stringent course. Like, I mean, there's really full-on standards placed over the top of it. So you can rest assured that it's a very safe modality. There's no doubt about that. It's basically just kind of another form of therapy. And I guess in a sense you can sort of say that the economics of our world are kind of stacked up against it. Because, we can kind of get results in, if a client comes wanting to change, and are ready to change, and they've done their homework, you know what I mean? When I say homework, I mean as in they've unpacked the issue themselves, they've been off to see, say, it might be they've been off to see a counsellor or a psychologist or something like that, and they come wanting to change, they'll leave after the first session, and they will get results. And then it's a matter of kind of the sessions after that are then focused on sort of reinforcing that change for them. So, I mean, so the economics are that, when you stack that up against kind of, the big pharmaceuticals who want you to live the rest of your life on, really strong drugs, or psychologists or psychiatrists that want to string you along for, 12 sessions and things like that.
Plus the drugs for them as well. Yep.
Correct. Yeah. Then, they're never going to sort of want to, it's an ongoing battle for us to kind of gain legitimacy, I guess you could say. And so I guess in a sense I enjoy that challenge, although it does kind of sort of wear you down over time, I guess. I mean it's one of those things where you get an absolute range of opinions and attitudes from people around kind of what they sort of think on the matter. And you get sort of absolutely you get a lot of clients that will get in contact with you and they will basically sort of, just show you very little respect at all. And at the end of the day,
for what purpose? Why? I mean, then why would they bother in the first place?
I think because it sort of builds up their own. It sort of. I think we're all out to sort of confirm our worldview, and I think it builds yourself up. So it gives them a sort of a minute of it plays into that ego of theirs. Do
you think it's that they're all coming in skeptics?
No, I don't think they all are. I mean, I won't actually see anyone who is an outright skeptic because at the end of the day, it just becomes a power struggle.
I can't be hypnotised. You try and hypnotise me. I dare you.
And anyone that comes saying that they don't want to be hypnotised, guaranteed they won't be hypnotised.
Yeah.
Because they'll be fighting tooth and nail to make sure that they're not being hypnotised. And so, I kind of spend a lot of time. I run initial phone consultations before I see anyone.
Good idea. Just to screen people and be able to qualify them.
Correct, exactly. And really kind of get into their head and seek to understand their reality. And if they come with the mindset that, well, you're not going to hypnotize me, well, then they'll win. And at the end of the day, it is one of those things where, you can pretty quickly tell what people think on a topic because they're pretty willing to sort of share it. And yeah,
that's what happens.
So
you qualify them. So after you've had a chance to qualify them, then you make an appointment? And
I do. So they'll come on in. I'll spend the first half an hour sort of really seeking to get to understand what it is that they're seeking to change. And more often than not, they're coming with kind of a real bundle of different issues. So
What do you think's most common?
the most common so far is, I mean, if you ask sort of, the highest profile would always be quit smoking.
Yep.
The most common has got to be anxiety. And with that, you find, I mean, the government goes on and on and on about, the ice epidemic that we're experiencing, but fucking hell, I mean, anxiety is just at absolute pandemic proportions in our society. And when you combine that with depression, you've got a real serious issue on your hand. And if we don't start doing something about this, we're going to end up with a really messed up society. We really will.
Can I drop you a beautiful jewel I learnt last week? Last week was a week I learnt so much new shit.
Yeah. Good.
So anxiety is the emotion of growth, provided you don't resist it. I thought that was fucking pretty full on.
I think that's quite apt. Yeah.
I mean, what happens when people get anxiety is just, it's an emotion, and ideally, if you can, I mean, this probably takes practice because, hey, I'm Mr. fucking L plate here talking, right? So please, this is not coming from, I know it all. This is new to me. So so bear with me.
And we're all learning. We're all
learning. But it is. It's having enough awareness to feel it, and when you feel it, to ride with it, because over a minute or two, it'll come back to feeling a joy or a much better state.
Yeah. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
I think though that it's also caused by the way we are evolving as a society, but specifically with technology, and specifically with speed with which we have to do things now. Now, in 1985, if I needed to get hold of you, I would call your home or I would call your office, and if you weren't there, I couldn't fucking get hold of you, so I had to wait. Well, I don't wait anymore. I text you, or I call you on your mobile phone, and I get everything I want out of everybody right now, and everybody gets everything out of everybody right now.
Correct. This instantaneous sort of gratification
so
that we're all addicted to. It becomes a massive addiction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've got news feeds coming through, and you can see where I'm going with this. You've got just this ever-expanding feed of tasks, jobs, things you got to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As well as information, and like none of us can read more than about 5 paragraphs on a computer screen anymore before we just switch off. We're constantly searching for that thing that I always go on about constantly, is that digital dopamine thing. What's the next email? What's the next email? 'Cause it's another job, it's another opportunity, it's another thing. How can you not be anxious?
Yeah.
And all this time, again, as always, never a fucking mention on nutrition. So we're all going into work, we're all working we're all flocking to the cities in the same way fucking Larry
Living
was
our
talking about in the late
sedentary
60s. He was saying everyone flocks to the cities, the property prices in the country goes down, the property prices in the city goes fucking bananas. In the winter, none of us ever see the sun. We're all tragically low in vitamin D, iodine, magnesium. Magnesium's crucial for fucking good sleep, and none of this couldn't possibly dream of teaching this shit in our high schools and our nutrition and stuff like that. So we're undernourished. Our brains aren't functioning anywhere near to the capability that they should be. We're half of us are on fucking cholesterol medication, so our brains don't even get the crucial cholesterol that they're supposed to get. You've got all these tasks and jobs and emails and tweets and fucking worrying about this. How many times have you heard or had a girl or know a girl? God bless, my girl doesn't do this, which is probably why we're together. They'll text you, and if you don't get back to that person and let's not just say a girl, let's rephrase that. Let's just say fucking anybody.
A partner. Yeah. Yep.
They will text you, and if you don't get back to them within half an hour, they call the cops. They go mental.
It's the end of the world.
Because everything's got to be instant. Everything's got to be now. And if you're not available, that's fucking crazy. How can you not be anxious in a world like that? We've got Wi-Fi fucking everywhere. Even if I try to disconnect my house and have cables around the house, which I do, I've still got 4 other fucking houses. I've still got 2 mobile phones in the house. I've still got digital radio next to my thing updating the fucking time every 6 seconds or whatever it's doing. I can go on all day, man. How can you not be anxious in this society?
Yeah.
We are wealthier than we've ever been before in terms of monetary terms.
Yeah, we're going to live longer than we ever have.
We live longer than we've ever lived before, but our quality of life has just suffered dramatically.
Absolutely.
Yes. We really just, gone are the days where, like you said before, gone are the days where we can kind of sort of sit and send off a telegram to someone and expect to wait for it to come back and not be overly anxious in the entire time, and then be kind of considering, should I actually be breaking up with this person because they haven't gotten back to me within the 30-minute window
that's right.
that I've allotted. And we're all trapped by this. We really all are. And it's kind of, it's hard not to be. Like, you wouldn't be human not to be caught up in this bullshit.
Well, I think that's still us looking at the outside world, it not fitting into our view of it, and so we're trying to
cram it in,
get it to fit according to
or get out of it. Or change or change your life into an area where that suits you more better.
Yeah.
If I don't want to get up to 11 o'clock in the morning, I need to get a job that allows me to do so, right?
Yeah. And the second that somebody tries to sort of not fit the mold, as you were talking about before, you don't want to have kids, you don't want to get married or whatever it is, and these are all very personal choices for people.
Absolutely.
But they're treated as you set yourself up to be a massive target. You really, really do. Like, people start to judge you. They really do. They start to sort of question, well, what's wrong with that person? Why don't they want to get married? What are they?
Aren't they good enough? Doesn't any girl like them? Are they creepy or something?
Are they barren?
Well, yeah. And I mean, this is three guys sitting around, talking on this topic. I'd hate to hear what poor ladies think about this, like the shit that they cop week in, week out.
More than any of us. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
It's a family favourite, that one.
But look, I do that's one of the main reasons I got you on, is that hypnotherapy to me does seem to be a good option in that it's drug free, it's chemical free, side effect free. It seems.
Yeah. I mean, can't rule everything out. We can't be thinking about everything. Of course not. I mean, generally, it is a very safe form of therapy.
Safe, not very invasive.
Correct. And it has been around since the dawn of time.
How many people? What's the death rate for hypnotherapy every year? How many people in the United States die from hypnotherapy?
I am still yet to hear of anyone that's died from hypnotherapy.
2,000 people every year die from aspirin in the United States. 2,000 people.
Yeah. Maybe because they weren't hypnotised
before
that's what they took the aspirin.
That's right. Yeah. Well, this is the last question, and then we're pretty much done for the day.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I heard, I read about a hypnotherapist that had hypnotized the lady, and she was a very large lady. She spoke to her, whatever you want to call it, her subconscious, her soul, if you will, and asked her soul, why are you carrying all this weight? And the lady said, I don't feel like I belong here, and I don't feel like I belong around people. So I put on all the weight to ensure that the maximum amount of distance is created as possible between me
like a buffer zone.
And the next person. So she talked to this and reasoned with the subconscious, if you will, and said, look, I see what you're doing, but it's having massive effects on her body and her health and all that sort of stuff. Can we come to some sort of, effectively she compromised with it and said, can we work something out? To which the soul said yes, to which the lady lost weight.
It's great.
That's fucking fascinating.
I love it.
It is, and that's kind of known as sort of parts therapy. In that the brain is made up with many different parts. We have many different voices sort of talking at one particular time, and whether it's the sort of the fat voice or the addict voice or the whatever it is.
You've got the fat voice through that microphone today.
I do. I definitely do. I'm liking this the way I sound on this microphone. But it is a very powerful form of therapy, and if only it could be more widely embraced, I think we'd be a much more comfortable and happy society. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. We really would be.
And plus, we're all hypnotized every day. It's
we are.
It's a proven fact that television is a hypnotist.
Correct. The power of suggestion is like we are constantly. I mean, that's the thing. When you go and see a movie and you're really enjoying it and you're sitting there, and it's a 2-hour movie and you spend it feels like 20 minutes. That entire time that you're in there, you are highly suggestible. Which means
is it delta? What are we in? Beta?
Theta.
But beta is your waking state.
Yep.
Alpha is kind of a light sort of trance state. And then it goes delta and then theta. Correct.
Yep. We had to have those words in this podcast today.
Yeah, of course.
I'd snuck that. That was all I gave a fuck about.
Yeah,
as long as alpha and beta and all that shit are in there.
This reminds me of Dennis Cometti, the footy commentator. What he does is that he gets challenged by saying, okay, during the course of commentary, you need to recite a lyric from this song.
Oh yeah, right.
And fit it in. So and there's this compilation, actually, it's on YouTube. Dennis Cometti, if you can find him on YouTube, it's actually very, very clever. It gave me I found new respect for Dennis Cometti after listening to that, because he's got the mental sharpness,
Greg Fleet puts Apocalypse Now references in there wherever he possibly can, Or in a worst case scenario, bottom base level is just say meow as many times as you can.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to call it a day, meow.
Okay.
Meow.
Well, on that note, I think we will.
Yeah.
Good to have you on the
Thanks
show,
very much.
mate. Thank
Lovely to be
you.
here.
It was lovely to meet you, buddy.
Now
it was a great chat.
because we're pre certification, etc. We can't plug or anything for you, can we?
No, unfortunately.
No, that's
So
okay.
I'd happily come back once I'm certified,
No
and,
problem.
I'll
Yep,
plug.
absolutely.
I'll plug to high heaven.
Plug the
basically.
shit out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, can we,
you're
just
welcome to
can we
plug.
put our Twitters up?
Absolutely. Go
All
crazy.
right, Jack the Lower Bear.
What now?
Sorry, for my Twitter.
Isn't there an underscore in this? Jack the
Jack
underscore bear?
the
is that
underscore
it?
bear. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah.
I typed it before and put it on
Yeah,
the thing just down
yeah.
just down there somewhere before.
Yeah, Jack the underscore bear, or just Tony Jack the Bear Mantz on Facebook, if you want to check me out. What about you, boy? Come on.
Well, that video you were speaking about.
The video?
before,
Yes.
We have released that. That's on YouTube.
By the
now.
way, can I just say, but can I just say how fucking Martin launched his single in probably the best, coolest fucking way to do it. He found this little bar.
Yeah.
Name of the, sorry,
Long Play in North Fitzroy.
Long Pine, North Fitzroy. Nice little bar, and there's this little mini cinema at the back of it.
30 seats max.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cozy, intimate, beautiful.
Huge screen.
Yep, all
Massive
that.
PA system.
And it's like, what a great way to fucking launch a video. Have a little get together with your friends, have a drink, sit down in this little theaterette, little cinema, and watch it. Big screen, and with a PA going. It's fucking awesome.
5 minutes and then have a drink.
and have a drink, and everyone goes home
Shoot
and
up and go
go.
home.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Go home.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I think that was a really, really good idea, man. That was great, and Connie and I enjoyed it. It was really good fun.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll the video can be found on our YouTube channel. I'll put some sort of link or something down here for you to find that.
Yep.
Or worst case scenario, damnthemaps.com.
That's it. All right, guys.
Myles, thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Thanks
This
for
has
having
been Melbourne Real
Yep.
from Melbourne, Australia.
Yep.
All the best.
All the best.